The music world is mourning a legend today. The founding member of the Beach Boys, Brian Wilson, has died, according to a statement from his family. The 82-year-old Wilson wrote and produced most of the band's hits, including I Get Around, which you just heard there performed on the Ed Sullivan Show. Wilson is also known for producing the 1966 album Pet Sounds, which Rolling Stone called the second best album of all time. Music writer Joe Levy joins us now to talk about all this. He's a contributor to Rolling Stone as well as Billboard, and very good to see you. It's hard to know where to start with him, given all that he contributed to music. So in your opinion, what is his legacy on music? And we talked a little bit there about Pet Sounds. What's the influence of Pet Sounds in particular?
It is indeed hard to talk about the influence of Brian Wilson just on music, because he is a shaper of American myth and American culture. Our popular ideas about California, a land of surf and sun, many of them come from Beach Boys songs. You brought up Pet Sound, the landmark Pet Sounds, the landmark 1966 album. This was at a time where Brian Wilson was moving away from surfing songs into these rich, beautifully complex, realized studio creations. He had been inspired by the Beatles, and the Beatles were in turn inspired by him. Pet Sounds was a crucial influence on Sgt. Pepper's, which was released a year later. It was almost as though they were challenging each other to see who could outdo each other. There's a lot of respect for Brian Wilson at that time in the world of 1960s rock, and it was as though everyone was trying to keep up with him and the Beatles.
And it's not just music. Joe, Wilson was also recognized for living through mental illness as well as substance abuse. How do you think that he inspired people working through issues of their own?
You know, what we know about Brian Wilson now, in retrospect, is that he was one of the first people to pull away from live performance in the 1960s because he was suffering with panic attacks. You know, we all talk about these wonderful moments in the 60s where everyone was screaming with glee and abandon and this great teenage hysteria. We don't think about the impact it had on the performers. Wilson was one of the first to pull away from live performing, and then sometime after that, 3 or 4 years later, his use of drugs caused him to pull further away from public life entirely, so that he lived mostly by himself on his own in his mansion for a decade or so. Our understanding of what music can do, the sounds it can make, but also the pressures that it can put on its most beloved performers, a lot of that comes from what we know about Brian Wilson and the music of the Beach Boys.
An enormous, enormous impact that he had. Joe, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.